My name's Tyler, I'm 29, and if I'm being honest, I've always felt like the odd one out in my family. Not because I'm some black sheep or wildly rebellious, just because I don't really fit into their idea of what family is supposed to be. I'm not loud, I don't drink like a frat bro, and I don't think group sarcasm counts as emotional bonding. Still, every year I try. I show up to birthdays, sit through the awkward small talk, and contribute to the family group chat, even though half the time I feel like I'm texting into a void. It's always been like this. I'm Tyler the overthinker, or Tyler the buzzkill, depending on who you ask. My older brother Kyle once said I could find something negative to say about Disneyland, and everyone laughed like it was the funniest thing ever. What they don't realize is, I don't complain, I explain. I ask questions. I like structure. But in my family, if you're not just nodding and going along, you're difficult. Anyway, this all started about a month ago. I noticed the family group chat had gone a little quiet. Not unusual, honestly. We usually only get bursts of activity when someone wants money for a birthday party or is trying to plan a group event. So when the chat suddenly lit up with beach emojis and messages like "can't wait" and "gonna be lit," I was confused. I scrolled up, thinking maybe I missed something. But there was no mention of planning, no voting on dates. No, "Hey Tyler, are you free this weekend?" Just pure celebration. My cousin Megan even posted a picture of a massive beachfront Airbnb with the caption, "Look what I booked." Now, here's the thing, I work remotely. I make good money. And for the last few years, I've been the one footing the bill for our family get-togethers. Not because I was asked, but because when I didn't offer, I'd get those backhanded comments like, "Some of us don't have tech jobs," or "Not everyone can afford avocado toast and therapy tie." I never complained. I just paid. So, seeing that they booked this trip without even mentioning it to me, that stung. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched the chat roll on with sunscreen recommendations, carpool plans, jokes about who was going to burn first. For a full day, I said nothing. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from my sister. Not even in the group chat, just a side text. It read, "Hey, just a heads up, we figured you wouldn't be into the trip. Didn't want the planning to stress you out like last time. You can still come if you want, but we figured you'd just complain like always." I just stared at the screen for a while. Complain like always. That line stuck to me like gum on the bottom of my shoe. Last time, I asked about splitting the cost fairly and suggested a better location with less traffic. That was me complaining. I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself not to say something I'd regret. Instead, I took a deep breath and went back to the chat. I scrolled all the way back up to the original post with the Airbnb listing. And that's when I saw it. The reservation had been made using my Airbnb account. Now, a few years back, I let Megan use my account to book a birthday cabin. She said she didn't want to create her own and asked if she could just use mine. I didn't think much of it. I trusted her. But apparently, she never logged out. She just kept using it. And because the charges always went to the family card I set up for group events, one I created back when we tried splitting costs for a ski trip, no one questioned it. I opened my Airbnb dashboard. Sure enough, there it was. A 7-day beach reservation under my name. Paid with the family card, which I fund. All without a word to me. And the worst part? No one thought to mention it. They didn't even try to lie and say I'd been included. They just decided I wouldn't want to go, and then used my account and money anyway. I don't remember feeling angry. Not right away. Just deeply, deeply tired. Tired of always being the one who just overreacts whenever I point out how messed up something is. Tired of being told I should lighten up while they quietly cross line after line, expecting me to play along. I didn't respond to Megan. I didn't text anyone. I didn't blow up the group chat. I waited. I waited for 3 weeks as they gushed over which floaties to bring and who would bring the best snacks. I even answered when someone asked if the family card was still active for groceries, just to keep appearances. I waited until the very last day before the cancellation window closed. Then, I canceled the entire reservation. No warning, no drama, just one click. I didn't even have to explain it to Airbnb, because technically, it was my account and my money. And the second it processed, I removed the family card from the account entirely. Then I sent one single message to the group chat. No anger, no accusation, just trips canceled. I'll let you all complain this time. That was this morning. By noon, I had 14 missed calls, 2 voice messages from my mom in full meltdown mode. and a group chat that was now exploding with frantic messages like, "What the heck? Who canceled this?" And Tyler? Kyle texted me directly asking if I'd lost my mind. Megan, to her credit, hasn't said a word yet. Probably still trying to figure out how I found out. I haven't answered anyone. Not yet. But I'm sitting here with my phone buzzing every few seconds, watching the chaos unfold. And for the first time in a long time, I don't feel like the odd one out. I feel in control. And that's when the doorbell rings. I look up from my phone, confused, because no one ever just shows up unannounced. But when I open the door, it's my mom. Now, to be clear, my mom showing up at my apartment is about as rare as snow in July. She hates driving in the city, says my place is too modern, and always complains that my building smells like chemicals. So we're standing on my doorstep, sunglasses still on, arms crossed over a floral beach tote. Isn't just surprising. It's surreal. She doesn't wait for me to say anything. "We need to talk," she says sharply, like she's the one holding the moral high ground. Then, without waiting for an invitation, she brushes past me and walks inside like she owns the place. I shut the door slowly behind her. My apartment is spotless, because I'd just done laundry and vacuumed the night before, but she still manages to wrinkle her nose like I'd left raw chicken out on the floor. I stay silent as she circles my kitchen like she's inspecting it, then finally turns to me, placing her bag on the counter like she's moving in. "Tyler," she begins, tone tight. "What exactly is going on?" "Megan said the Airbnb got canceled. The trip is tomorrow." I fold my arms, leaning back against the counter. "You're asking me that?" She blinks like I've spoken in another language. "Yes, of course I'm asking you. The reservation was under your account, wasn't it?" "Yup," I say. "It was." She shifts. "Well, then, why would you do something so childish? Everyone's panicking. Your aunt already took the whole week off, and Kyle's kids were so excited." I stare at her for a beat before responding. "And you all decided I wouldn't be invited because..." She rolls her eyes. "Oh, come on, Tyler. You always get stressed with these things. You never want to go. You pick apart the logistics, and then you end up just sitting in a chair on your phone. We figured we'd spare you the hassle. That's all." "You mean you figured you'd make a decision about me, for me, without actually speaking to me?" "Don't twist my words," she snaps. "You always do this. You always act like you're being excluded, like you're smarter, when all we've ever tried to do is make things easier for you." I can't help but laugh at that short, humorless. Easier for me? By using my account? My money? Booking a whole trip and not even telling me until after it was paid for? "Well, Megan didn't think you'd mind." "Oh, Megan didn't think I'd mind?" I repeat, voice rising slightly. "Megan used my Airbnb login from 2 years ago, booked a $4,000 house on a card that I fund. Didn't tell me, and you're seriously here trying to make it sound like I'm the problem?" She bristles. "You didn't have to cancel the reservation. You could have come. We said you could still come." After I found out by accident, I cut in. After the group chat had already been making plans for 2 days. After Megan texted me that you all figured I'd complain like always. That's what this is really about, isn't it? You've all made up your minds about me, so I'm just the ATM with the bad attitude. She flinches at that, visibly, then softens. "Tyler, honey, that's not how we see you." I raise an eyebrow. "Really?" There's a beat of silence. Then she quietly says, "Well, maybe we haven't always included you the way we should have." That's the closest thing I've gotten to an apology from her in a decade. But it still feels hollow. Like someone caught doing something wrong, not someone who's genuinely sorry. I walk over to the fridge, take out a bottle of water, and pop the cap. "So now what?" I ask, glancing at her over the rim. "You expect me to rebook it? Cover it again? Act like nothing happened?" Her lips purse tightly. "Tyler, you know they won't be able to afford something that nice last minute. The cancellation ruined everything. Everyone's upset. Kyle's kids were crying. I'm not responsible for everyone else's choices," I say. "You all made it clear I wasn't part of this trip. You made your plans. Now deal with the fallout." She glares at me like I've slapped her. "This is your family, Tyler." I look her straight in the eye. And maybe my family should have remembered that before treating me like I wasn't. She stands still for a moment, just watching me, like she's trying to figure out what to say next. But I think she finally realizes there's nothing left to say. Without another word, she picks up her floral tote and walks slowly toward the door. As she opens it, she turns slightly over her shoulder. They're going to be really hurt. I nod once. Maybe next time, they'll think before they use someone and leave them out. The door closes with a soft click. I sit back down at my desk. My phone's still buzzing. Dozens of unread messages from Kyle, from Megan, from cousins who hadn't spoken to me in months suddenly pretending like they're just checking in. But I don't answer. Instead, I log into the Airbnb account, change the password, and permanently delete the family payment method, just in case. And right as I'm about to close my laptop, a message pops up from my brother. One sentence. We need to talk. In person. I stare at it for a long time, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Then, just as I'm about to reply, there's another knock at the door. The knock this time is heavier. Not urgent exactly, but firm, like whoever's behind it isn't planning on leaving until I open. I glance at my phone again. Still no reply from me. Still a dozen texts. Kyle's last message sits at the top of the screen. We need to talk. In person. Of course it's him. I walk to the door slowly, not entirely sure what version of my brother is waiting on the other side. The charming one who schmoozes his way through work meetings and family dinners? Or the one who once called me emotionally constipated in front of a group of strangers because I didn't want to do karaoke at his birthday? I open the door, and sure enough, it's Kyle. Shirt wrinkled, holding an iced coffee, looking like he's trying really hard to pretend he's not upset. His sunglasses are perched on his head, and he gives me a tight, fake smile. Hey, he says. I don't move. Hey, can I come in? I sigh, step aside, and let him in. He walks in like he owns the place, just like Mom did. Straight to the kitchen, doesn't ask. He sets the coffee on the counter and leans against it, arms folded. For a moment, he says nothing. Then, you didn't have to do that, man. I close the door behind him. Yeah, I did. No, seriously. You could have just talked to us. Instead, you blew everything up. I raise an eyebrow. Talk to you? You mean the same people who planned an entire beach trip without me and only remembered I existed when the Airbnb confirmation showed my name? He exhales through his nose. Okay, yeah, that wasn't great. But Megan was the one handling it. And you always make things complicated. I tilt my head. Complicated? He nods, like he's making some grand point. Yeah, you overthink everything. You ask questions no one wants to answer. You make every plan feel like a board meeting. We just wanted this to be chill, you know? You wanted it to be chill, I repeat. So you left me out and spent my money. That wasn't the plan, he says quickly. Megan didn't realize the card was still connected. She just thought it was an old account. And by the time we figured it out, we assumed you'd say no anyway, like always. You assumed. You didn't ask. You didn't include. You didn't even pretend. Kyle groans and runs a hand through his hair. Why does it always have to be so dramatic with you? I laugh, short and bitter. You think I'm being dramatic? You're the ones panicking because your free vacation disappeared. I'm the one who's been sidelined and gaslit like that's somehow my fault. He glares at me. Don't throw around words you don't even understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, I snap. I understand that you all use me when it's convenient. I understand that you rely on my money but treat me like an outsider. I understand that the moment I draw a boundary, I become the problem. Kyle stares at me for a beat. Then, his tone shifts. Cold. Calculated. So what? You're just gonna ice us out over this. Depends, I say. Are you here to apologize? Or to guilt trip me into fixing your mess? His jaw tightens. I'm here to find a solution. I shake my head. Then you're still not getting it. He steps closer, suddenly more intense. Do you even care what this is doing to the family? Aunt Jen's threatening to cancel Thanksgiving now. Everyone's pointing fingers. You're turning everything into chaos. No, I say quietly. You did that. When you decided I was just the wallet with legs. Kyle goes silent. I let it hang for a second. Let him sit in it. He's not used to me pushing back. Not like this. I can see it in his eyes. He expected me to cave. To say fine, I'll book something else. To apologize for making things difficult. But I don't. Instead, I walk to the counter, pick up his untouched coffee, and hand it to him. I think we're done here. He takes it reluctantly. His jaw works like he wants to say something else, something cutting, probably, but then he just turns toward the door. I'll tell them you said no, he mutters. I shrug. Tell them whatever helps you sleep. He walks out without another word. This time, I don't even wait for the door to fully close before locking it. I stand there for a while, heart pounding not from fear, but from adrenaline. It feels like something's cracked open inside me. Some pressure valve I didn't even realize had been tightened for years. And just when I think it's all over, that I can finally sit down and let the dust settle, my phone buzzes again. This time, it's not from the group chat. It's from Grandpa. Just 2 words, call me. And suddenly, everything shifts. Because Grandpa never texts, never calls. He's old school, landline and letter in the mail old school. And if he's getting involved, this might be far from over. I stared at the message for a long time. Call me. Coming from anyone else, it wouldn't have made my stomach sink. But Grandpa? He doesn't do drama. He doesn't involve himself unless it's serious. He's the kind of man who will sit through 3 screaming matches at Thanksgiving without blinking, then calmly say something like, pass the gravy. If he's reaching out, it means something's gone too far. Or, more likely, he thinks I've gone too far. I sat on the edge of my couch, phone in hand, thumb hovering over the dial button. There was a time when I looked up to him more than anyone. He'd been a quiet force in the family, a man of very few words, but those words always landed hard. I used to spend summers at his lake house when I was a kid. Those were some of the few moments where I actually felt seen, heard. Not the butt of some passive-aggressive joke, not the uptight one. Just me. I don't know when that changed. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I did. I took a breath and pressed call. He picked up on the first ring. Tyler. His voice was the same as always, low, slow, deliberate. Hey, Grandpa. Long pause. Then, what's going on? I assume you heard, I said, trying not to sound defensive. About the beach trip. The cancellation. I did, he said evenly. From your mother, your uncle, your brother, and your cousin. For different stories, none of them matching. So now I want to hear yours. That stopped me for a second. You actually want my version? Why wouldn't I? He said simply. I sighed, leaned back into the couch, and told him everything. From the moment I saw the beach trip messages, to the text from Megan, to the realization that they'd used my account and my money, all the way to the cancellation and Kyle showing up at my door. He didn't interrupt once. Not even when I vented. Not when I repeated how it felt to be left out, or how sick I was of being included only when there was a bill to pay. He just listened. And when I was done, the silence on the other end of the line stretched on for what felt like a full minute. Then, finally, you were right to cancel it. I blinked. Wait, what? You were right, he repeated. They used you. They didn't tell you. And when you called it out, they acted like you were the one who betrayed them. That's not family, that's opportunism. I felt something in my chest loosen. I hadn't even realized I was holding my breath. Thanks, I said quietly. But he added, they're not going to see it that way. Not for a long time, if ever. I know. Are you okay with that? I paused, then nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Yeah, I think I am. We talked a bit longer. He didn't pressure me to make peace, didn't ask me to call them back or offer to fix anything. Just told me he was proud I stood up for myself. That was more than I'd heard from anyone in my family in years. When we finally hung up, I just sat there, letting the quiet fill the room. It felt different now. Not lonely, peaceful. The next few days were a circus, as expected. The family group chat turned into a soap opera. Passive-aggressive messages, guilt-tripping, and of course, the dramatic victim playing. Megan finally piped up, claiming she didn't think I'd care, and that she only used my account because it was already set up and she was in a rush. My mom asked if I was happy now that everyone's summer is ruined. Kyle sent a string of furious texts about how you always have to make everything about you, which was rich coming from the guy who once threw a tantrum because I didn't clap loud enough at his promotion dinner. I didn't respond to any of it. Eventually, I muted the group chat. A week later, I got a card in the mail. A real card, handwritten. From Grandpa. Proud of you. Don't let the noise make you doubt your voice. Come visit the lake house sometime. Just you and me. I've got a new fishing rod with your name on it. I smiled for what felt like the first time in weeks. It reminded me of those quiet summers again. How safe and still everything felt back then. How much I missed it. That weekend, I drove out to the lake. He met me at the dock with 2 chairs, 2 rods, and 2 root beers in glass bottles. We didn't say much. Didn't need to. Just cast our lines into the water and sat in the quiet. At one point, he looked over at me and said, you know, I think you're the only one in this family who's figured it out. Figured what out? That you don't owe people anything just because you share a name. That stuck with me. And slowly, over the next few months, something changed. I stopped responding to their drama. Stopped funding family events. Canceled the old family credit card and let them figure it out. I even took a short vacation of my own, solo trip to the mountains. No itinerary. No forced laughter. Just me, fresh air, and the sound of wind through the trees. A few relatives reached out sporadically. Megan sent a text on my birthday that said, "Hope you're doing well. Miss you." I replied with a simple, "Thanks." Tried to call once, then never again. My mom still hasn't spoken to me since the day she walked out of my apartment. And I'm okay with that. For the first time in my life, I'm not trying to squeeze myself into a version of family that never really made room for me. I'm not funding my own mistreatment, not bending over backwards to be included in a group that only sees me as useful when I'm quiet and paying. I'm just me. And I've finally decided that's enough. No more beach trips. No more group chats filled with fake laughs and real jabs. Just real connections, real respect, real peace, and the occasional weekend at Grandpa's lake house, where, for once, I don't feel like I have to explain why I belong. My name's Eric. I'm 29, and up until recently, I thought I was a pretty decent brother. I wasn't exactly winning any Brother of the Year trophies. I'm not the type to remember every birthday or send long, heartfelt texts, but when it came to being there for my family, I did my part. I was the guy who always offered to help move furniture, pick someone up from the airport at 5 a.m., or pretend to like whatever suspicious meat my uncle throws on the grill at family BBQs. That kind of reliable. So when my younger sister, Amanda, 27, got engaged last year, I was genuinely happy for her. Really? She'd been dating this guy, Caleb, for about 2 years, nice enough guy. No red flags, except maybe his man bun, which he treats with more affection than I've ever seen him show to any living creature. But hey, not my relationship. If Amanda loved him, then so be it. Amanda and I were never super close. She's always had a flair for drama, and I prefer keeping things chill. But family is family, right? So when she called me last summer all excited, going on about venues and flowers and how it's going to be the most magical day ever, I told her I'd help however I could. Which, apparently, in wedding language, translates to, "I'll give you money." She didn't even hesitate before she asked, "Eric, do you think you could help us with the venue?" She said, voice syrupy sweet over the phone. "It's just, Caleb and I are kinda tight on funds. And I remember you said your bonus came in." Now, in her defense, I had gotten a bonus. I work in tech, boring software stuff. So occasionally I get those rare unicorn months where your company realizes they've been underpaying you and throw a chunk of guilt money your way. I hadn't made any grand plans for it yet. So, feeling generous, I told her sure. I'd cover the venue. Not the whole wedding, just the venue. It was a nice one too. One of those rustic barn meets luxury lodge setups with fairy lights and just enough wood paneling to make everything look expensive but still Instagram friendly. I put down a sizable deposit and paid for the rest a few weeks later. About $8,000 total. I didn't even blink. Told her to enjoy her day and that I didn't need credit or public acknowledgement or anything. In hindsight, I should have asked for a receipt. Things were cool for a while. She'd occasionally send me text updates about the color of the bridesmaid dresses, sage green, because it's like neutral but still alive, and I'd respond with thumbs up emojis because I'm not emotionally equipped to discuss linen swatches. My involvement was minimal, and I liked it that way. But then came the twist. About 3 months before the wedding, I noticed Amanda's tone shift. She was shorter with me in texts. Didn't invite me to her bridal shower, which she claimed was just for the girls, even though her fiancé's cousin Jared, who's definitely a guy, was there. Thanks, Instagram. When I asked about my tux or whatever I was supposed to wear, she ghosted me for a week and then replied, "Oh, we'll let you know soon," with a winky face, which is never a good sign. Then 2 months before the wedding, I got a call. Not from Amanda. From my mother. "Eric," she said, in that voice she uses when she's about to say something insane but wants to sound like it's completely reasonable, "Your sister has decided to keep the wedding small." "Okay," I said. "How small?" "Well, just very immediate family." "Like, very." I blinked. "Mom, I'm literally immediate family." There was a pause. "She just feels like you two haven't really been close lately." I wanted to laugh, but I was too confused. "So she's uninviting me?" "She's not uninviting you," Mom said carefully. "She's just focusing on people who are part of her journey right now." Her journey? What is this? The Bachelor. She just doesn't want any negative energy on her day. I was speechless for a full 10 seconds. Negative energy? I bought the freaking venue. When I reminded my mom of this tiny $8,000 detail, she got weirdly defensive. "Well, that was a gift, wasn't it?" "No, it wasn't. It was help. For a wedding I was going to be part of." "Well, it's still happening. And she really hopes you'll be supportive, even from afar." "Supportive? From afar?" like a dad on a business trip Skyping into a piano recital. Needless to say, I didn't take it well. But I didn't scream or cause a scene. I said, okay. Just like that. Okay. I didn't argue. Didn't beg. Didn't send a passive-aggressive Facebook post or call my uncle to whine. Instead, I called the venue. Now, this is the part where I should mention I'd been smart. The venue was under my name, my credit card, my booking. Amanda just picked the place. So I called the lovely owner, a woman named Trish, who remembered me right away because I was the only client who didn't make a Pinterest board. I asked her, very politely, what the cancellation policy was. She told me I had until 30 days before the wedding to cancel for a full refund. Perfect. I told her I'd be in touch. In the meantime, I went shopping. Not for a suit, but for flights. I figured if I was going to miss the magical day, I might as well have my own. I found a great deal on a solo trip to Iceland. I'd always wanted to see the Northern Lights, and the dates lined up almost perfectly with Amanda's wedding. 1 month before the big day, I canceled the venue booking. Trish sounded a little surprised but professional. I didn't give her any dramatic reason, just told her plans had changed. She apologized and mentioned she already had another couple on the wait list who'd be thrilled to take that date. I wished her well, hung up, booked my trip. I didn't say a word to my family. Now, I should have known the storm was coming, but I kind of hoped Amanda had backup plans, or at least the decency not to implode. But no, Amanda doesn't plan. Amanda assumes. So, about a week before the wedding, I start getting frantic calls from an unknown number. Turns out, it's Caleb's mom. Eric, she hisses into the phone. What did you do? I blink. I'm sorry. Who is this? This is Lori, Amanda's future mother-in-law. They showed up at the venue for the final walkthrough, and, surprise, it's booked. By someone else. I lean back on my couch, watching a rerun of a baking show and sipping a smoothie. Yeah, I canceled it. You what? I wasn't invited. I figured you didn't need my money either. Do you realize what you've done? Oh, definitely. And that was just the beginning. I got a barrage of texts from Amanda, then from Mom, then from Dad, who normally only texts me memes of dogs wearing sunglasses. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk to me, but I didn't answer because I was on a plane to Iceland. So I touched down in Iceland, cold air crisp on my face, fully layered in smug satisfaction and a very warm jacket. If you've never been, Iceland in the fall is like stepping into a live-action screensaver. Everything is either glowing green with moss or steaming like a cursed swamp. I booked myself into this cozy little cabin near Vic, complete with a hot tub and a view of the black sand beaches. The minute I arrived, I set my phone on Do Not Disturb and committed myself to two things: drinking overpriced hot chocolate and being the pettiest brother in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, I know what you're thinking. Eric, surely you didn't actually mock them while they were scrambling, right? Oh yes. Yes, I did. But I did it tastefully, artistically, like an emotional Instagram influencer with a vengeance. Day 1. I posted a picture of me standing next to a geyser with the caption, "When the family drama erupts, but you choose peace." Hashtag blessed, hashtag nature heals. No tags, no names, just vibes. But you better believe Amanda saw it. She always lurks. Day 2. I sent a photo directly to the family group chat, which I had been silently removed from 3 weeks earlier. Yes, removed, without a word, with a picture of my breakfast, smoked salmon on toast, some weird local yogurt thing, and fresh blueberries. I captioned it, "Enjoying my $8,000 breakfast. Hope everyone's planning going smoothly." Within 30 seconds, Mom texted me privately, "Eric, that's not funny. Your sister is devastated." I replied, "She's devastated? How do you think my bank account felt when I was cut from the guest list like a reality show contestant?" She left me on read. Day 3. Amanda finally broke the silence with a text that genuinely made me laugh out loud. It read, "You are seriously ruining my life. This was supposed to be my day." And because I couldn't resist, I sent back a photo of me in the hot tub with a drink and a serene mountain view. Caption, "Still your day. I'm just celebrating from a safe emotional distance, heat emoji." She didn't respond after that. Now, while I was soaking up geothermal peace, back home things were, apparently, melting down faster than a wax figurine at a bonfire. My cousin Mia, bless her soul, is the family double agent. She's the only one who stayed neutral and occasionally sends me play-by-plays when drama unfolds. Mia texted me updates in secret like she was reporting from the front lines. So Amanda's trying to book a new venue, but everything is full or stupid expensive. Your mom tried to guilt trip a local church into hosting the wedding. It's a hard no. Caleb's losing it. His mom is suggesting they just do a backyard wedding, and Amanda said she'd rather die barefoot in traffic. So that's where we are. They tried to rebook the original venue. Trish told them it's taken by a couple from Montana. Amanda cried. At this point, I was floating in a glacial lagoon like a sentient marshmallow, completely zen. Now let me pause here and just say, I did consider feeling guilty. I really did. But then I remembered the phone call. The one where I was told I was no longer part of Amanda's journey. The way my mom tried to paint it like I was a threat to the energy of the event, as if I were some sort of karmic bedbug. And suddenly, the guilt? It packed its bags and left. Meanwhile, Amanda's stress had reached full tornado mode. Apparently, she started calling around to old high school acquaintances trying to find someone with a nice enough backyard or barn or abandoned warehouse, anything. One of them offered a literal horse farm with actual horses. Amanda declined because the smell would ruin the ambience. Eventually, my dad broke radio silence and texted me directly. Son, I know you're hurt, but this is your sister's wedding. Be the bigger person. I replied, funny how I was too small to be invited, but suddenly big enough to fix everything. He didn't text back. I imagine he was mid-facepalm. Anyway, by day 5 of my trip, things hit a new low. Mia told me Amanda tried to book a pop-up tent in their backyard with some rented chairs, but the only available tent was bright neon green and came with inflatable walls, like the kind you see at a cheap birthday party. She refused. Caleb suggested they just elope. Amanda cried again. And me? I went on a glacier hike. Posted a video of me reaching the summit, looking over the vast icy landscape. The caption? Some people climb toward love. Others get uninvited from the wedding and climb toward peace. Either way, views are nice. Hashtag solo summit. That one really ruffled feathers. I knew because the next day I got an email. An actual email. Not a text, not a DM, an email from my mom. Subject line, apology needed. It was a full-blown letter. For paragraphs. The highlights? Amanda is inconsolable. You've embarrassed the family. We just wanted to keep the event intimate. You've made your point. Now please make things right. And my favorite, it's not too late to fix this. I didn't respond. Instead, I posted a story of me trying fermented shark, which smells like expired foot, and nearly gagging. Caption, still not the worst thing I've been served this year. So, I get back home a few days after what would have been the wedding, feeling refreshed, mildly frostbitten, and spiritually 10 pounds lighter. Iceland was a dream, a hot springs, midnight sun, no screaming relatives. It was like a detox from the family drama Olympics. I was half expecting a SWAT team made entirely of bridesmaids to tackle me at the airport, but surprisingly, the place was quiet. Too quiet. No welcome back texts. No awkward guilt calls. Nothing. Which, of course, meant the storm was just brewing. The first thing I did when I got home was message Mia. So, what did I miss? Mia texted, oh boy. Are you sitting down? I replied, yup. Mia texted, Amanda's wedding was officially canceled. Like, no dress, no aisle, no legally binding anything. Caleb's parents pulled funding. There was a massive fight. Caleb and Amanda are on a break. Also, your mom thinks you cursed them. I had to reread that a few times to let it all sink in. Apparently, after they failed to find a replacement venue, Amanda and Caleb opted for a last-minute city hall wedding just to get the thing over with. But here's the kicker. They showed up late. Not like, oops, we hit traffic, late. Like an hour and a half late. They missed their scheduled appointment. The clerk had already gone home. You can't make this up. So the backup to the backup to the backup plan was to do a cute backyard ceremony at Amanda's friend Ashley's place. And by cute, I mean Ashley had 3 folding chairs, a golden retriever with an attitude, and one of those home goods signs that said, love you more. Apparently, mid-ceremony, the neighbors started mowing their lawn. Loudly, Amanda screamed. The golden retriever ran off with the veil. And Ashley's toddler started crying because he thought the officiant was a wizard. To be fair, the guy did wear a top hat. Caleb's parents, who'd already dropped several grand on catering that was now going uneaten in someone's garage, hit their breaking point and called it all off. And since the wedding never technically happened, neither did the marriage. Yup. So naturally, this is all my fault. By the time I walked into my parents' house the next day to talk things out, I was prepared for some passive-aggressive tension. Maybe a cold shoulder. possibly a disappointed head shake. What I didn't expect was to be greeted like I was a wanted criminal. Mom opened the door with a look that said, "I've mentally disowned you," while Dad stood awkwardly behind her, holding a mug that probably said, #one grandpa, despite not being a grandpa yet. Amanda was there, too, sitting on the couch, swollen eyes, blanket over her shoulders like she was recovering from a shipwreck. Caleb wasn't with her, which probably explained the half-eaten tub of cookie dough on the coffee table and the faint sound of a breakup playlist humming from her phone. No one said hi. I stepped inside like I was entering a hostage negotiation. Mom was first to speak. "We need to talk." "Cool," I said, because I've been wondering how I ruined a wedding I wasn't invited to. She didn't laugh. Amanda sniffled dramatically, then croaked, "You could have just let us use the venue. You didn't have to be so vindictive." Vindictive? I raised my eyebrows. I just stopped financing an event I wasn't welcome at. I didn't hex it. Dad cleared his throat. "Son, the way you handled this, it felt spiteful." "Oh, so me being uninvited was fine, but me deciding not to spend thousands of dollars on a party I couldn't attend? That's where the line is." Mom jumped in. "You blindsided us. You canceled the venue without saying a word. Do you know how hard we scrambled?" "I wasn't invited, Mom," I repeated, trying very hard not to yell. "Let me put it in perspective. Imagine getting kicked out of a restaurant, then being asked to still pay for everyone's meal. Would you do it?" Amanda interrupted, "You always make everything about you, Eric." I turned to her slowly. "Amanda, you kicked me out of your wedding because you wanted to focus on people who were part of your journey. I wasn't even allowed to bring a +1 emoji to the guest list." She folded her arms. "It was supposed to be my special day, and now I don't even know if it's going to happen." "Didn't happen," I corrected. Past tense. She glared at me like I'd kicked her puppy. I sighed and sat down. "Look, I didn't do any of this to sabotage you. I just took a step back. You drew the boundary. I respected it. But you don't get to exile someone and then demand their loyalty." "Dad, ever the peacekeeper, mumbled, "Can't we just move on?" "The damage is done." Amanda sniffed again. "The damage is done. And Eric's just sitting here acting like it's all no big deal." "You mean like how you acted when you uninvited your brother from your wedding and expected him to still foot the bill?" Silence. Mom pursed her lips. We didn't think you'd actually cancel it." "Right. You thought I'd keep paying. Like an invisible ATM with no emotional needs." I leaned back and crossed my arms. "Well, surprise." The conversation sort of fizzled out after that. No one apologized. No one really changed their stance. I left about 20 minutes later, refusing the leftover Costco muffins Mom offered me as some kind of truce. But it wasn't over. Because later that night, Amanda made a post. Oh yeah, the clause came out. A long, thinly veiled Facebook post. One of those vague, passive-aggressive essays written like a bad spoken word poem. Sometimes the people you expect to be there for you let you down in ways you never imagined. I've learned who truly supports me, and who only shows up when it benefits them. I didn't respond, but I did post a photo from Iceland. Me, smiling in front of a waterfall, holding a coffee cup. Caption: "Grateful for the people who actually invite me into their lives. #no refunds, #no regrets." Petty? Maybe, but fair. A week later, I get a call from Caleb. I don't answer at first. I mean, the guy had about as much backbone as a cooked noodle during the entire wedding meltdown, but he follows it up with a text. "Hey man, just wanted to talk. Things got messy. I think we both know that." I finally call him back the next day, more out of curiosity than anything else. Turns out, he and Amanda are officially on pause, which sounds like something you do to a Spotify playlist, not a relationship. He tells me things got complicated. She's been emotional, volatile, and hard-talked to lately, which I'm fairly certain is Caleb speak for "I want out, but I'm scared of what she'll do to my PS5. He tells me that after the backyard wedding fiasco, Amanda flipped. At everyone. Caleb's parents, her friends, the dog, yes, she yelled at the golden retriever. Then she apparently took a break from social media, which, for Amanda, is like a monk taking a vow of silence, and has since been spiraling in a tornado of "why is everyone against me?" vibes. Caleb, surprisingly calm, says, "I don't blame you, by the way. I would have done the same thing." I just kind of nod to myself. Because, yeah, same. So that was the last I heard from him. I assume he's off somewhere regrowing his spine. Or maybe moving in with Jared, the cousin who wasn't even supposed to be at the bridal shower. Who knows? As for Amanda, She's been quiet. No more subtweets. No more tearful voicemail ambushes. Occasionally, she'll post a selfie with a suspiciously long caption about healing and rediscovering herself, but that's standard breakup protocol. She and I haven't spoken since the couch confrontation, and honestly, I'm okay with that. My parents tried to play that we're still a family card a few times, invited me to Sunday dinner, sent me a couple of those chain texts that end with "send this to 5 people who love you," but I haven't gone over since. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm just done playing the emotional ATM for people who treat me like a backup dancer in their one-woman Broadway production. Mia and I are closer than ever now, though. We joke about the wedding saga like it's a canceled Netflix show, full of drama, poor character development, and an ending nobody saw coming. Sometimes we reenact lines from the family intervention scene over a drink, complete with dramatic pauses and fake crying. Therapy, but cheaper. And me? I took the leftover money I'd been saving for a wedding gift and signed up for a photography course. Turns out I kind of have an eye for it. Iceland did that to me. Being alone, standing under northern lights with nothing but silence and snow, it shifts something in you. Helps you realize what matters. I'm not angry. Not bitter. I'm not waiting for an apology, and I sure as heck don't want back into Amanda's wedding planning spreadsheet. I just moved on. They got what they wanted, a wedding without me. And I got what I needed, peace, clarity, and one heck of a story. No regrets. Except maybe the fermented shark. That stuff was awful.